much to say but enjoy the story. Chapter 4, A New Mission in 3 Years. The bright sun shined down on a orange-haired teen. The teen was panting and was laid on the ground, his clothes teared. He was able to hear Zabuza and Haku clashing with their swords. Haku had taken to Kenjutsu, saying it was a sign of respect to her master Zabuza. Naruto lifted his head up. Sitting up. He been bench pressing a boulder. Good kid, good, said a deep voice inside Naruto head. You remember what I see to do next, so get to it. I do it tomorrow, I'm tired. Tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Get back up and keep at it. Kuwabai, but I don't care, get back to training. Naruto sighed and stood up on shaky feet. He ripped off his tiered shirt, leaving him in only his blue shorts and white shoes. Naruto made a shadow clone and it transformed into a long thick rope. He threw the rope around the boulder, wrapping the boulder. He proceeded to tie the end around his waist. Naruto started walking, dragging the boulder with him. 30 laps, remember, said Kuwabai with a chuckle. XXXXXXXXXX. Naruto finished his laps and fell face first in the grass. At this time Zabuza and Haku was finishing training. Zabuza lifted the unconscious Naruto onto his shoulder. Damn, leader Sama been putting in a lot of work lately. Haku looked at Naruto, his hair covering his face. Naruto now had long straight hair that stopped at his shoulders, no longer was spiky. He didn't want anyone from the leaf to recognize him. Haku moved Naruto hair out his face, her hand brushing against the many piercing on his face. Zabuza took Naruto to the medical bay that was created by Naruto. It had special seals that will refuel chakra and heal your injuries. Zabuza put him in a capsule and placed a mask over his face. He closed the capsule and flipped the switch, the capsule filling up with green water. Zabuza and Haku stared at the leader who was being healed. Want to watch a movie, Haku? I pick this time. XXXXXXXXXX. Konoha. The peaceful village of Konohagakure was a bright day today. Everyone was filled with joy for the past 3 years. In the Hokage mansion, the doors closed, signaling the last person entering the room. Good, you are all here now. I imagine you have all heard the rumors going around lately, the blonde woman asked the group of jounin in front of her. Among this group included a large list: Kakashi, Yamato, Anko, Niji, and all of Rookie 9-1, of course. Some nodded and several others shook their heads. Many of the older jounin have been sent to investigate these disturbances in several of the surrounding countries, Tsunade. As of late, there are rumors that our borders are in chaos. The leader of Omegakure, Hanzo, was murdered over 2 years ago, leaving a large vacuum of power for many of the small-time criminals there. Violence is prevalent. And that's not the only thing going on out there. Sakura cut into her explanation after Tsunade finished. Yes, they say that the assassin was a cloaked woman who murdered half of Omegakure's leadership. And she assumed control of the village. Several present shot Sakura annoyed glances at the sound of hearing her speak. Many of them held her responsible for Naruto leaving. Despite what several of them would admit, the blonde had personally affected all of them at one point. And his disappearance left an uneasy tension when they were around Sakura. Anko chimed in casually. Well, damn. Pinky's got everything figured out. We should all just listen to her instead of the Hokage. The pink-haired girl shot a nasty glare at Anko and spoke back. I don't know what your problem is, you weird bitch. But I was just trying to help by giving my input. Anko's eyebrow twitched as she stared at Sakura. I don't know who you think you are. But nobody cares about anything you have to say. Tsunade held her tongue as she watched the conversation in interest. How dare you? I am Tsunade-sama's apprentice, I'll have you know. The inhabitants of the room eagerly watched the scene unfold. Some hoping for a fight. I could care less if you were her wiper. You are probably the worst excuse of a ninja this place has ever seen. Fucking pink hair. That's not stealthy. Not to mention a very small chakra pool. And to top it off, you're nothing but a howling banshee bitch that wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for the fact that your teammates carried you. Kakashi looked as if he was about to say something. But then he stopped, silently agreeing with everything Anko had said. Sakura looked as if she was getting really emotional. I'm not going to stand here and take this from some washed-up pupil of Orochimaru who clearly doesn't understand when her betters are speaking. Anko got up to Sakura's face and began to yell. Well, aren't you a little narcissistic bitch? You're worthless and hated. Just ask anybody here. Sakura looked around the room and noticed everybody staring at her with mixed glances of disapproval or hatred in Suzuki's case. Tell me guys what you think of me to shut her up. Sakura demanded as she stared at the group. The Jounin simply stared at her. Kakashi-sensei, Niji, Shikamaru. The three of them gave her bored uninterested glances as they disregarded her presence. I know my Suzuki-kun appreciates me, she boasted. The Uchiha leered at her full of malice. No I don't, I never did. And thanks to you my best friend has been missing for 3 fucking years. Desperately. The pink-haired girl looked to Ino. Her best childhood. Ino? Anything to say, her friend simply looked away from her. Suzuki told us about you trying to get Naruto in trouble. Sakura. Sakura looked petrified at Ino's rejection as she finally turned to Hinata. Hinata, not you as well. The Hyuga girl stared at Sakura for a moment and sighed. I agree with everything Suzuki said. Naruto-kun was a great person, and what you did to him was wrong. She whimpered as she started to crack under the pressure of everyone's silent staring. How am responsible for him disappearing? Suzuki could have melted her face off with the look radiating off of his. He left because you tried to get the council to strip his shinobi rank. Not to mention being a bitch to him all those years, no wonder he left. She looked back at him with a confused glance. What do you mean he left? Tsunade sighed once again as she entered the conversation. We have reports that he was emotionally unstable his entire time back in Konoha, and we have reports of him being spotted near the borders of Fire Country over 3 years ago. Sakura looked around shocked as the disregard from the group turned into venomous stares. You can't all hold me responsible for him leaving, can you? He was kidnapped from what I hear. Anko laughed at her as Sakura began to frown. Tsunade sighed deeply as she watched Sakura back away from the group in a fit of emotions. Sakura. Go take a breather, I'll brief you individually later. Sakura held her head down in shame as she felt her eyes begin to water. She ran out of the Hokage's office in tears, leaving a very relieved-looking group of individuals. Tsunade turned to the group and slowly began. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Hanzo was one of the most powerful shinobi of our lifetime. And it is troubling to hear of his death. Although Omegakure isn't the only issue we have lately. There have been reports of a notorious S-rank criminal known as Pain, who has been terrorizing many surrounding countries. According to Umbu, he's been sighted in Wave Country, Water Country, Snow Country, Sound Country, and even through our own borders. Kakashi asked curiously. Who is this Pain? I don't think I've ever heard of him. Tsunade frowned as she turned to the window. Nobody knows who he is, nobody even knows what he looks like. But they say he just showed up out of nowhere and started wreaking havoc somewhere close to 2 or 3 years ago. Several present traded concerned glances and Niji spoke up. Is that why you called us here, Hokage-sama? The woman turned to meet the Hyuga's gaze and she replied. Yes and no. I wanted to tell you guys about some of the things Umbu have dug up about him in case you encounter him on your mission. Everybody in the room tensed as Tsunade called out. Shizen, bring the reports in. The brunette woman strolled in past the group casually, unlike her normal racing. Busy self. Right here, Tsunade-sama. The Hokage nodded and began to open the report, reviewing parts of it. It says here the earliest sightings of Pain came from Wave Country. I don't know if you remember Tajuna the bridge builder. But he was the one who reported Pain in the first place. Kakashi and Suzuki shot surprised looks at Tsunade. And Suzuki asked. What happened? Tsunade began to pace unlike her normal self as she placed the folder on the desk. Tajuna says that 2 black-cloaked men with red clouds on them kidnapped and imprisoned the villagers of Wave as hostages for some unknown purpose. He said that he remembered their names. Kisame and your brother. Itaka. Suzuki felt anger swell up at the mention of his older brother. He stared at Tsunade fiercely, waiting for her to finish. Kisame is an S-ranked criminal from Kirigakure. And we all know who Itaka is. Anyways, we have over 50 eyewitnesses that they were held captive until a shadowy figure arrived and battled the two. Tajuna says that after a terrible battle he assumed their rescuer had won the fight because he came back to the temple. This also brought up more disturbing news. Everybody intently watched Tsunade as she elaborated further. They say that 3 figures emerged from the mist after the battle outside of the temple where many of the villagers still were. Umbu interviewed many of the hostages. And some were thought delusional, claiming that the figures identified themselves as Pain and the demon of the mist. This is where our first sighting of Pain was. Kakashi coughed. You mean there were sightings of Zabuza of the mist? Tsunade nodded. Yes, and his hunter Nin companion as well. Suzuki visibly tensed at the memory of Zabuza and Haku. Tsunade-sama, what did Umbu find out about those sightings? Also, could the villagers have caught a look at Pain? She turned to him with a disturbed look on her face. Nobody is 100% certain. But their graves were completely empty according to the townspeople. As for your other question, nobody in that village will talk about Pain himself. None of the villagers would speak about the event after Danzo's root agents finished talking to them. Shocked gasps and wide eyes met Tsunade's comment. There was a long silence before Shikamaru finally broke it. How come you never told any of us about this until now? Tsunade sighed as she glanced at him. It was a battle between 5 S-ranked criminals. I'm pretty sure that's not on a need-to-know basis unless you're part of active duty Umbu. Or myself. Shikamaru rolled his eyes much to Tsunade's annoyance. I guess that would be troublesome. Anko started to speak. So what was the point of that long, boring story? Tsunade turned to the purple-haired snake mistress and shrugged. I just thought you guys should know in case you encounter trouble on your mission, which brings me to the original reason why I brought you all here. Tsunade frowned as she examined her Jounin squad. If you recall what Sakura mentioned earlier, there was a woman who usurped Megakuru's leadership over 2 years ago. Our spies claim she is named Konan. Mixed looks of confusion swept through the party of Jounin as they silently listened. Beyond that, there isn't much else we know about her, but many of the daimyo in surrounding countries are offering to pay fortunes to anybody who can kill her. The simple fact that she killed Hanzo means that she is a cage-level criminal. We 3 Sunin didn't even defeat Hanzo in our youth, so that might give you an idea what she is capable of. Everyone in the room bowed their heads knowing what she meant. Konoha's economy is suffering lately due to trading routes being attacked and many won't travel for fear of being killed. A Megakure has a large monopoly over the trading roads in all of the western countries. And even dare to cut off our own lines to Suna. Obviously. This Konan is far too dangerous for us and the surrounding countries. So you are tasked to assassinate her by any means necessary. I would prefer minimum casualties. But this is a vital mission. I already sent my Umbu platoon ahead. Meet up with them and coordinate an offensive. Several nods followed before the Hokage turned to her assistant. By the way, Shizuan, I need you to go there as well in case the need for a skilled medic arises. Everybody nodded as Shizuan shook her head nervously. Tsunade-sama, maybe you should tell them about the last group of people that tried to kill Konan. Surprised looks were directed to the woman. Tsunade acknowledged her comment. Yes. Shizuan has a point. IWA sent a full company of Jounin to kill her over a year ago. And they were all wiped out. A large chorus of gasps erupted from the group before Chuji asked. You're sending us on a suicide mission. The Hokage looked down in shame as she began. Believe me, I don't have a choice. So long as this Konan is alive. The surrounding countries have no fear of attacking Fire Country. I can't believe I'm saying this. But Konan is far more terrifying than Hanzo. Shikamaru had a deep thought written on his face as he slowly began to speak. How did they wipe out a company of Jounin? I heard AIM was a relatively small shinobi nation. The almond brown eyes of Tsunade scanned the group in front of her. Apparently Konan practically blew up half the village to kill them all. I contacted IWA to see if they would be willing to help us attack a Megakure again. But they refused. Kibo began to laugh. Oh, that's cool. We might as well just stab ourselves now. Ino gave a concerned look as she questioned. Why would they refuse? Don't they want payback? Yamato spoke up for the first time at the meeting and casually answered. Well, I imagine losing a big chunk of your village's Jounin in one battle would deter you from wanting to send more people to their deaths. You won't be alone, also don't forget that I have a platoon of my best Umbu there. For this mission, you will be in charge, Kakashi. You can assign your own lieutenants, just get the job done. You are all dismissed. The group bowed their heads in unison and filed out of the Hokage's office one by one. Finally, only 3 figures remained. Among this trio included Shizuan, Sasuke, and Kakashi. The masked Jounin spoke up in an unusual concerned tone. Tsunade, tell me more about what Umbu dug up in Wave Country. Zabuza and Haku were extremely dangerous criminals. We saw them die. Tsunade glanced at Kakashi and back to Sasuke, reading the troubled look on their faces. It is possible it could have been a genjutsu. But it seems highly unlikely. Since their graves were uncovered. Sasuke had a disturbed look on his face. That's insane. They both died on that bridge and were buried. That can't be true. Kakashi and Sasuke traded concerned stares as Tsunade handed the file to Kakashi. Read through it if you want, go talk to Danzo and Root. Or see for yourself. All 3 will tell you the exact same thing, that Pain has found a way to reanimate them. Shizuan tensed at the mention of Pain. Which did not go unnoticed by the Hokage. Something wrong, Shizuan? The brunette woman casually smiled and rubbed the back of her head. No, of course not, Hokage-sama. Her mind had a different answer, however. Stupid bitch, Konan already knows you're coming, and if you see Pain and his followers kiss your ass goodbye. Kakashi gave Shizuan a weird stare. Tsunade looked at Sasuke for a moment and held up the book he had given her 3 years ago. Rakudo Sennin, I found out that this book is the original version. It is an account written by the sage's grandson. It's hundreds of years old. Commentaries have been added to it over the years, but I found its contents disturbing. Sasuke shot Tsunade a surprised look as she continued. There is something I thought I should tell you, Sasuke. Apparently the Sage of 6 Paths had the power over life and death, and this book vaguely explains how the sage could resurrect people. Kakashi's one visible eye shot open in shock. You mean to tell us, you think this Pain is the Sage of 6 Paths? That's impossible. She looked at the book once again before turning to Kakashi and Sasuke. It's just a wild theory. But nobody has seen Pain and lived to tell the tale except for one Kirigaku or Umbunin. They refuse to tell us anything about it. I don't know much about the sage. But apparently he did have a powerful bloodline known as the Rinnegan. It could be possible that Pain has it. But it might just be superstition. Either way. Unless we take out Pain sometime soon, Konan will be the least of our troubles. Kakashi and Sasuke nodded as they distantly stared at the wall. Tsunade placed the book down on her desk and paced around her desk. At any rate. Be careful out there, guys. They bowed their heads in unison as they left. Shizuan noticed the book sitting on Tsunade's desk and stealthily grabbed it as she walked out, leaving Tsunade alone in her office. She stared out the window and sighed. A white-haired man coughed and brought her attention out of her mind. Tsunade-hime, would you like me to go with them? The blonde-haired woman raised a brow at Jiraiya, who was standing at the window with a serious look on his face. We need you here, Jiraiya. The village isn't safe with all of our shinobi forces patrolling the borders and attacking AIM. The Toad Sage sighed as he continued. Konan was a former student of mine, an orphan from AIM. She was very adept at folding chakra into just about anything. Which she would do with paper. She is extremely dangerous. You're sending those people to their deaths. Tsunade shot a surprised look at Jiraiya. Your former student. Jiraiya sighed. Yes, my former student after Minato died. I took her on as an apprentice. If she was able to defeat Hanzo, something we couldn't do. And when I see we, I'm talking about me. You and him. Tsunade flinched when Jiraiya mentioned him. I have no choice. If someone don't stop her, our village will fall into shambles. Tsunade sat and leaned back into her chair. Well, at least let me go with them. I can be absolutely not, was Tsunade's quick reply. Tsunade. What do you mean I need to help them? It's my fault I even trained Konan. I said no, and no is no. Tsunade, I'm going. Those kids have bright futures ahead of them. I should have died that day instead of Minato. Maybe Naruto wouldn't had a horrible life. Jiraiya got ready to go but was stopped by a tight grip on his wrist. He looked back to see Tsunade looking down, her hair covering her face. I don't want you to go, she said in a shaky voice. Jiraiya rose an eyebrow when he seen a tear hit the grow. You all I have, and I want you to stay. I could care less if I'm being selfish. With a tug she pulled him down and buried her face into his chest. Jiraiya, don't leave me. Jiraiya frowned and wrapped his arms around her. They stood there for what felt like eternally. He felt her body go limp. Picking her up, he walked to a couch and laid her on the couch. Jiraiya walked to the Hokage seat and sat down. I still believe I should go. He looked over at the sleeping Tsunade before looking at the paperwork. He sighed and picked up a pin. XXXXXXXXXXX. Shizen walked in a dark alley alone. She looked around to make sure nobody saw her. Coming from the ground was a plant-like creature. Ah, Shizen, good to see you again. How you been, said the plant creature. I been a good girl like Toby told me to be, said Shizen with a huge smile. I'm glad you here. Shizen handed out a book to Zetsu. What is this? Asked Zetsu. I found that book in the Hokage office. It could help defeat that person you was talking about. Zetsu looked at the title and his eyes widened a bit. I will take this to him. Anything else, Shizen? Yes, they are sending a huge group to aim to assassinate Konan. They even got the copy ninja Kakashi with them. I'm also sent there on the mission as a medic. I will keep you informed. Zetsu nodded and sunk into the ground. Shizen stood there looking at the ground with a blank expression. Before a dark grin appeared on her face. Guess the most kindest girls also have a dark side to them. She put on her fake personality and skipped out the alley with a smile. XXXXXXXXXXX. Naruto, Zabuza and Haku walk around for hours. Haku was reading a book on Kenjutsu styles. Zabuza swung his long sword around. It became a normal tradition for the big guy. Naruto kept walking with an impassive face. He saw the upcoming village he was supposed to be heading to. He was looking for Orochimaru. Orochimaru was a threat to his goals. He couldn't have a snake snooping around. The trio was stopped at the gate guards. Halt, what business do you have here, spoke a bald man with a goatee. The guards obviously didn't recognize the trio because they wore straw hats that cover their face. Our business is none of your business, stated the one in the middle. Zabuza. When Naruto spoke that word, Naruto and Haku continued to walk in the village. The two gate guards heard that name. Before they can react, their limbs was on the floor. Some of the villagers saw this and started running for their lives. The trio was stopped by 4 sound shinobis. Naruto tilted his head up and whispered. Banjo Tenin. The 4 sound ninja was pulled towards him. Their hearts was impelled by Haku eyes. They continued to walk down the streets, killing a few shinobi here and there. They was stopped by 3 ninjas. 2 ninjas Naruto recognized. That's as far as you go, spoke a girl with blue hair. Where is Orochimaru? That's none of your business, boy. Humph, I'm guessing he's not here. Let's go, we shouldn't waste time on fools like this. Who the hell are you guys, said the red-hair girl, getting pissed off. Zabuza and Haku removed their straw hats, sealing them into a scroll. The 3 stiffened and turned to the one who haven't removed his hat. They already knew who this was, the famous Pain. Are you Pain? Asked the white-hair boy. Naruto removed his hat, sealing it like his comrades. Indeed, I am Pain. People around was watching, some was scared. What do you want with Orochimaru, asked Guren, who was the blue-hair girl. What do you think, I am here to take him out, so is Kabuto. I can't let you kill Lord Orochimaru, said Kimimaro. I remember you, I thought you died from your illness. How do you know I'm sick? Teiwei saw the faint whisker marks that was barely visible. You that Naruto brat. To think you will become a S-rank criminal is crazy, said Teiwei. Wait, you mean the Kuwabai vessel, asked Kimimaro, shock. Teiwei nodded. I heard you ran away. Me and Kimimaro actually watch your fight with that gay kid. Damn, that was impressive. Did you see a pink-hair girl? Yeah, we made sure to stay away, didn't want to get caught, said Teiwei. It was nice catching up, but as I said, I can't let you kill Orochimaru-sama. Said Kimimaro, getting into a defensive stance. Aren't you sick? You don't stand a chance against me. I'm no longer sick, so I'm back to full strength. You still aren't a match for a god like me. I give you and this village a chance. The 3 was confused. You and your village follow me and betray Orochimaru. I'm a better and more trusted leader. If I'm not wrong, I'm sure Orochimaru is a sick and cruel leader. Forcing y'all to do stuff you don't like. Probably failing a mission would get you killed. If this village follows me, I will grant you freedom and your true dreams. You can be free and don't have to sleep thinking if you will die the next day or will you be sacrificed. If you don't, I will just turn this village into nothing but a crater. Most the villagers was happy to hear this but was scared of Orochimaru wrath, same with the shinobis. You're bluffing, you can't do that, said Guren. Leader Sama doesn't make false claims, said Zabuza. Chose die knowing you was a puppet to Orochimaru. Or die knowing you reach your dreams and had a nice rich fancy life, said Haku. But Orochimaru gave me everything, said Kimimaro. He did that just to secure your loyalty to him. Take it or leave it. Guren looked at the groan and gritted her teeth. Fine, we take your offer, just don't hurt us. Guren, you can't be serious, said Teiwaya. Guren, are you willing to betray Orochimaru-sama, asked Kimimaro. It's no choice. I want everyone here to live. But he can be bluffing, said Teiwaya. Do you want to test if I'm bluffing or not? But this little game can end in your death. Fuck, I won't risk it. I'll get the papers. No need for that at the moment. I'm on a tight schedule for looking for Orochimaru. We don't know where he is, said Teiwaya. Then where is Kabuto, asked Haku. He went to aim to meet with someone called Konan. Konan, I heard of that name before. Zabuza Naruto clapped 2 times. Zabuza pulled out a bingo book and started flipping through pages. Here, page 78. S-rank criminal. Bounty 150 million. Leader of a Megakuer. Killed S-rank threat Hanzo the Salamander. Also took over multiple smaller villages. Run on sight if you see her. If I had to say, she probably give you a run for you money. Impressive, but remember I am a god. Zabuza and Haku nodded. We will go to a Megakuer to find this Konan and Kabuto. You 3 will also come with me, said Naruto to the 3 sound ninjas. But who would lead, asked Guren. Pick you top and smartest ninja. When we get there, if Kabuto escape, I want y'all to follow him. He might go to where Orochimaru is located. I will try to convince Konan to join me. If she can't, she will fall to a god. Naruto turned around, Zabuza and Haku following behind. Guren looked to Kimimaro and Teiwaya and all 3 nodded. Gemma, you in charge. The 3 quickly chase after Naruto. XXXXXXXXXXX. That's the end of this chapter. Next chapter will introduce Konan and the fight. Konoha and Naruto group is about to meet up at a Megakuer. Naruto just took over Sound Village. It's getting juicy. Can't wait for the next part.